Today I am joined by the CEO and co-founder of When, Andy Hamilton. Tell me a little bit about When. I know that it came from a personal experience that you had, again, being laid off during the pandemic.
Dan is my next door neighbor, and he'd be like, hey, I've got this great business idea around COBRA, helping people find affordable insurance like when they lose their job. I saw my premiums go from a few $100s a month to $2,500 a month. The mantra within companies is once they're gone, they're dead to me. That's the mindset that When has sought out to change. If you don't take care of people at the end, that's going to hurt your culture, it's going to hurt your reputation, and it's going to make all those other processes that are really important to your business that much harder. We realized quickly, it's not just about ROI for companies. Some companies, they do care about the people. They've just never been provided a solution that helps them do a better job elevating that experience.
What is one lesson that you've taught others in life or work that you think more people need to hear?
You may not always be the best, but those that continue to work oftentimes will outpace the other innovators around you.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Life's a Pitch. Before we get into today's episode, I need you to do me a huge favor. Whatever platform you're on, so Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, make sure to follow or subscribe. I know everybody always says that, but for a newer show like this, one subscriber genuinely makes a huge difference. All right. That's my ask. Let's get to our amazing guest for today's show. Today, I am joined by the CEO and co-founder and apparently neighbor, I just found out, of When, Andy Hamilton. When is a digital health platform that helps employees navigate health coverage transitions during critical life moments while reducing costs for employers. Before When, Andy co-founded two technology companies that were both acquired by publicly traded firms, including ApartmentJet, which was acquired by Expedia Group. His personal experience navigating a layoff during the COVID pandemic inspired him to build When, focused on bringing more clarity, support, and transparency to the offboarding process. Outside of work, Andy is a husband and father of three. When he's not driving his kids around to different activities, which I can absolutely appreciate, you can usually find him playing tennis, on his Peloton, or reading a good book. Andy, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Jared.
Yeah, it's crazy. We as I mentioned in the beginning, we live right down the street from each other. You live in a very, very happening area up in the Chicago North Shore called Highwood, which has got some great restaurants and fun activities for adults to hang out at.
They just had a restaurant written up in the New York Times as a top 25 best new restaurant.
Which one was it?
It's something, it's like a Hawaiian restaurant that's relatively new.
Okay.
Downtown Highwood.
Noon Kebab's one up there we go to all the time, but it's
I've never been there. It must be within the last 6 months. So I'm gonna try it out.
All right, we'll look it up. We'll test it out. Awesome. So I like to go through and look at past LinkedIn posts or posts that people are putting out content prior to jumping on these. Obviously, my company works with executives on their content, so it's always good to kind of jump in there and see. You shared a post recently about a benefits leader of a $4 billion company who said, easy problems are already solved. Why do you think that really smart companies convince themselves that there's no low-hanging fruit when clearly there is when it comes to this space that you operate in?
Yeah, I think it goes to the crux of the problem, or the awareness we're trying to bring to light to, and the problem we're solving is companies don't see exiting employees as their problem. Once you've exited, they kind of wipe their hands of you and you're gone. Unfortunately, though, it's really not the case because of COBRA and the federal law that requires companies to allow people to stay on their health plan, even post-employment. It's a misnomer to think that when somebody leaves your company, you don't need to worry about them anymore, because they're probably actually going to stick around and stay on your health insurance. And the crazy thing is, we've learned, and I didn't know this when we first started When, but people who do elect COBRA and stay on the health plan post-employment, on average, are 3 times more expensive from a claims perspective than active employees. So to hear a leader of a multi-billion-dollar public company be like there's no low-hanging fruit left, maybe if we thought about the fruit that have left our organization, we thought about how do we take better care of people even as they transition out, not just worry about those that transition in. Like, you can actually probably save your company not just hundreds of thousands, but for a lot of companies we talk to, we're talking millions of dollars per year in savings around health insurance, which is really a huge challenge to almost all employers out there. So yeah, it's a wow thing when I hear stuff like that. I had to call it out, but it's not uncommon, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it is crazy to think about. I have been, unfortunately, part of this process in a previous life. And for me, I was fortunate enough where I knew that it was coming, and it had kind of planned it out a little bit. Yep. But it wasn't necessarily the HR person didn't necessarily know. It was a long story, but I remember going through this process and thinking like, they're just reading off a script to me, and this is done, over with. And I stayed on the COBRA plan forever, so I can totally see how it costs more money, because when these events happen, and you've talked about this in the past, like when these events happen that you're not expecting, it can skyrocket the cost for some of these employers. So let's get into When. Tell me a little bit about When. I know that it came from a personal experience that you had, again, being laid off during the pandemic. I want to hear about, like, what was that light bulb that went off for you? Why did you create it? And then ultimately, how is it helping not just the employees, but the employers that are out there?
Yeah. So the light bulb didn't go off for me right away. It's actually my neighbor, Dan Wertheimer's original idea. He came up with it during the Great Recession. He was going to night school, getting his MBA, and he got laid off from his job during the day. And he got a COBRA letter in the mail, looked at his premium going from $50 a month to like $800 a month. And he's like, what the heck is this? Like, you lose a job, and at that point, your health insurance becomes X times more expensive. So he ended up doing his thesis at Booth around, like, there needs to be a better solution than COBRA for post-employment health insurance. And this was all like pre-ACA. And he put it together. He actually entered into like the New Venture Challenge at University of Chicago. And there's a lot of interest around it, but he was doing this all on his own. And, you know, like a lot of things, you graduate college and then you go off and get a real job and don't do a startup. Anyways, Dan moved in next door to me. So like, we've got a whole Highland Park Highwood thing going on here, Jared. So Dan is my next door neighbor. I was already a serial entrepreneur, which he knew. So we'd be in the backyard with our kids, and he'd be like, hey, I've got this great business idea around COBRA and like helping people find affordable insurance, like when they lose their job. And I had no idea what Dan was talking about for years. Like, he constantly would pepper me with it. I hadn't gone through a COBRA event, so I wasn't real familiar with the pain around it. But he kept like putting it in my ear and like buzzing me around about it. Anyways, I had a company I was fortunate that was acquired by Expedia. I stayed on post-acquisition with Expedia. And during COVID, they ended up shutting down my division. So I got laid off along with all my employees. And I went through the offboarding process at what I would say is a fantastic company. Fortune 500 public company, really did a great job taking care of employees. But when you're going through the end of the employee life cycle, it was kind of like, see ya. And it was that moment where I got the COBRA pack in the mail personally. I saw my premiums go from a few $100s a month to $2,500 a month. I went out to healthcare.gov and tried shopping for health insurance on my own, just so I knew what was out there. And I'm like, this is wildly confusing. And it was around that time, Dan's knocking on my door, literally, saying, hey, remember that idea I told you about COBRA? Like, what do you think about it now? And that was the moment. Like, I had to personally experience it for me to understand how significant it was. Also, to be at a large company who did treat their employees really well, but then saw there was this gap when you got to the end of the employee life cycle. And so me and my former CTO, like, we joined with Dan and we started and we started this mission of how do we do better when employees are going through these critical life moments to help them understand what their health insurance options are. And that was the impetus.
Yeah, it's great. And I love the name When. When I was first introduced to you, I looked at the website and I was going through everything, and it's just like, it's such a perfect name when you put the story, the background story. It's not, because it's not if, it's literally when something is going to happen. So Great name. Let me ask you this though, like what doesn't make sense to me in being, in the corporate world and having gone through this, and you've gone through this, like, why is it that we spend so much time on the onboarding process, the hiring process, the integration into the new company, yet we completely dump on the exit process within these companies? Why is that?
It's hard to say. Like, I think it's a cultural thing within our country. I think in any other experience that we have personally with people, like most people know, like last impressions do matter. That's often the one that sticks with you. But unfortunately, like in the corporate world, at least here in the US, it is very much a mindset of like, once you're out the door, I don't need to worry about you anymore. COBRA has been in place since 1986. It is very much a set it and forget it for all employers. So like employers don't manage the COBRA process. They all offload it to a COBRA administrator. So they pay this COBRA admin. They go, you take care of like the health insurance needs for this person when they're leaving. And, the like kind of mantra within companies is once they're gone, they're dead to me. And that's like the mindset that WEN has sought out to change. And we're literally creating a new category of, no, you should actually focus on the end of the employee life cycle. In many ways, it's actually more important than worrying about recruiting and onboarding and open enrollment. Like if you don't take care of people at the end, that's going to hurt your culture. It's going to hurt your reputation. And it's going to make all those other processes that are really important to your business that much harder.
Yep. Yeah. People usually don't fill out Glassdoor reviews until they leave the company. And right. that last little thing, it could help for sure. So when your product, when WEN is working in the way that you intended for it to work, with the way you intend, like what actually changes for the employer and the employee?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fascinating. So like when we sought out building WEN, it was all around the mission of 100% the employee. How do we utilize technology at the end of the life cycle? So you're not just dealing with like a big packet in the mail that you get from a COBRA admin, but how do you provide them a platform that takes their current plan information and puts it side by side with ACA plans or off exchange plans? Like that was our mission, facilitate an easier shopping experience. However, we learned like there's not just the issue for the employee. Employers do have an issue because nobody has really played around from like the vendor space with thinking about the end of the life cycle. So there's no tools available to benefit leaders or total rewards leaders to actually manage this process. So as we were building this, we had to think about, okay, we want this to be a B2B solution. But to be successful in selling a B2B solution, we need to be able to demonstrate some sort of ROI back to these companies. And we had a key employee join us early, Jeremy Leon, who's a former actuary and has been in the benefit space for years. And he opened up mine and Dan's eyes where he's like, you don't understand. Like, if we can help facilitate this process and make it easy for people to understand COBRA is not your only option, he's like, we're going to shift a lot of the most expensive risk on the employer plan to the individual markets. So it became part of our value proposition to employers. Like, if you do this better, you put our technology in place, not only is it great for the employee and it's so needed, we're also going to help lower your cost for your health insurance, which, as you know, it's a critical problem for all companies today.
Yeah. So I can see this is because this is a space that is like, we're just doing what we've always done because that's what you're supposed to do. And when you've got a disruptor coming in like WEN, that's like, well, there's something else that you could potentially do as well. Like that first sale, deal, whatever you want to call it, that you probably had, like what was that aha moment where you're like, you guys, like, this is legit. Like, we just got a yes. And I think we're going to get more because of this. Like, what was that moment like? It's
a fantastic question. So it's actually was pretty interesting. One of our first close one deals was Iowa State University. And the kind of wow with it was, we're not that interested actually about the claim savings. We really just care about the experience their employees are going through. And what you guys are doing seems pretty special. And we don't have the capabilities to do this. And they're like, let's do it. And that was an aha where we realized quickly, like, it's not just about ROI for companies. Some companies, they do care about the people. They've just never been provided a solution that helps them do a better job elevating that experience. But we knew like that is a big logo for us, a great win. They're a great partner for us, but it also presented some challenge in the sales process where you had to make sure you did a good job of discovery, because for some companies like in Iowa State, it's less about the savings. It was more about the experience. But we certainly have sold plenty of companies since then. It's all about the savings. And there still is that mindset of, I don't care that much about them, but if you're going to save me money, I do care about this solution. So you kind of have to learn in that sales process how to best sell the product.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if your go-to-market strategy is specifically headed down one direction and you're just like talking something that doesn't matter, then it's not going to work. Did that shift the way you guys went to market? Like when you got Iowa State, they were like that aha moment where like, hey guys, we need to redo our website. The messaging's off on this. Like everything needs to change.
We have redone our website, Jared, probably about 35 times. Because we're constantly, like all startups, like we're trying to figure out that message. You get feedback from like a big brand like Iowa State, a great organization. They made us feel like it is all about the experience. And then you talk to 3 more potential clients and it's like, we don't care about the experience. It's all about the savings. So then you reshift your messaging. We've learned, I think, a good way to like tease both of that in. And, you know, like I said, it is that discovery process. You're a sales leader, former sales leader. Like, you know, you have to go in and do that discovery and understand what is most important to the employer. And at the end, like we serve both needs. We do provide savings, significant savings, and we provide the experience. But the way you talk about it matters.
Yep. Oh, yeah, for sure. So you're using AI to guide people through really complex decisions. Where does AI actually help versus where do people need to step in and have that kind of human element to it?
Yeah, age is a big factor. The younger the member is, the more likely they are to just exclusively use the platform. The AI is fantastic, and we have our own, you know, AI agent, Jamie, who helps facilitate the process for somebody on our platform. We can see in our data as you skew to be a little bit older, you're more likely to stop the process and want to talk to one of our concierge team members. And it's understandable. Like the older you get, the more important it is, the more complex as you have kids, or maybe you're getting closer to Medicare eligible, like you have a lot more decisions to weigh. So that was like key as we built Len. Like we knew as good as the technology was going to be, health insurance is still a really difficult decision and process for people. So we had to have a concierge team that wasn't commission based. They weren't there to jam like plans down people's throats. We just wanted to provide education and support over the phone in somebody's decision making. So people at the end could be better informed when they make that ultimate decision.
Yeah, that's great. So we talked a lot about like end of, being terminated and going through the COBRA process. You had a post, going back to a post a few years ago, maybe it was a few years ago, about something that happened with your son, his appendix burst, right? And you talked about how things just happen. What are other, I guess, these types of events that happen within these organizations? Because right now we're tying it directly back to just, being terminated and having to go through COBRA that way. Give me some other examples of situations that your platform is helping with, other than just, again, the termination piece. Yes, totally makes sense, but something else there.
We have a case where we helped somebody recently, a few weeks ago, somebody retiring from an organization, executive level, actually made a decision to put one in for their company, and then ended up leaving, I think, maybe 6 months down the line. Anyways, for this individual, like they were contemplating COBRA versus Medicare. And it was a big decision for them because they were preparing for potentially a liver transplant. And that fear of like getting away from your current health insurance for such a significant event was something that was obviously very taxing, but the cost of staying on COBRA was a big deal to this person as they were entering retirement as well. So this is something that's done over the phone when you have an extreme case like this, and our agents are fantastic, and they probably spent hours and hours talking this person through, making sure they understood, all right, if you stay on the group plan, this is what's going to cost you, this is what the cost of a transplant would come out of pocket for you, versus if we got you over to Medicare, like this is what it's going to look like for you. And we ended up helping that person feel comfortable with moving over to Medicare, help them actually enroll in it. And long term, it was absolutely the best decision But we were on the phone with providers and everybody else in the process to make sure that this event, like this medical need, was going to be fully covered. So if this person made the change, like there wouldn't be any shock or surprise with any of their bills. And at the end of the day, like I said, they moved over to Medicare, and great win for this person, but also for the employer. Like shock, catastrophic claims are a huge deal. And this isn't a real big organization, and they probably avoided $1 million plus claim, not because you're pushing plans, but because you're providing a service that better informs people in these critical life moments. So that was like a huge win to us. And we deal with these calls every day of helping people through really significant moments, hard decisions. And some people we tell them stay on COBRA. Some people we help them go to the spouse's plan. And others, it's maybe Medicare, maybe an ACA plan. But people need that support.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, as somebody that when we talk about this everything that we're talking about today, this is one of those things where I wither up into a ball, and I just don't, because it's uncomfortable when I don't know what I'm talking about. Like if I'm saying something, it's like I put a shield up and I just want somebody to do it for me. And I think that that's how a lot of people are around the insurance space. So I didn't know going into this call how hands-on you guys were with helping execute on all this and doing the research. So I think that is something that is valuable in and of itself, is that you can help guide people along this path of very hard decisions that they're about ready to make.
Yeah, the crazy thing for like me and Dan is our background is not health insurance, it's not benefits. Like we laugh and we said, like, if we knew what we knew now, like back when we were starting, like would we have done this? No way. Like we have jumped into the deep end blindly, not knowing how to swim. And we've learned a ton over the years around health insurance and how benefits work. But similar to you, like if you would have asked me this 5 years ago, which is actually what started the process, like it was scary. Like I didn't know anything. Like I'm pretty smart. Like I have a technology background. I found it hard to shop. I don't understand all the terms that they use around health insurance. Like I was no different than you. And somehow over the last few years, like we've become really proficient in it. But the great thing about like being an entrepreneur is starting something out of that personal experience where you can understand personally, like something isn't right here and it's really scary. And I think there's a better way to do it. But there's still stuff with health insurance that I'm like, I'd like to curl up into a ball because it's horrible.
Yeah. Well, let's stay there. Let's stay with you curled up into a ball and being an entrepreneur. What are the biggest challenges you guys are dealing with right now?
For us, actually, right now is like scalability. So it's taken us a while to get traction, and now we're starting to have significant traction. So we're growing a lot. So for any, founders, like how you grow the organization, like we're venture backed. So how do we commit those funds to grow smartly? How do we avoid having to like raise money again? Are things that are top of mind for me and Dan. We just hired a chief revenue officer. So it's, I know one of your previous podcasts was how do you get away from like founder-led sales? Like this is a big moment for me and Dan, where we're going to hand over the keys to the car to a proven professional sales leader. And it's going to be a great thing for our organization, but it's not easy to do that. But these are challenging moments for, I think, companies where you do need to get it right. But we're also really fortunate where we have really strong investors. We have two great lead investors with 7Wire out of Chicago and Manchester Story out of Iowa. Who know the space really well. They talk to us every week, and they're in our corner with helping us manage this growth and like the transformation of our business.
Yeah, that's great. And congrats on the raise. I know that's pretty recent. Is that did that CRO hire, was that like, hey, we just raised this, now we got to go get somebody that can help us step back from the day to day?
It was part of our plan. So like I said, we were doing well. We're working on our Series A for 6+ months. Our goal with raising that Series A was to put a professional sales organization in place. We went back and forth as a director of sales, as a head of sales. We ended up landing like somebody with a fantastic track record of taking smaller early stage companies and growing them significantly. So it's a huge investment for us as a company, but certainly that was on our roadmap with raising the money.
Awesome. And there's probably an entire separate conversation that we can have about the trials and tribulations that you went through over that 6-month stretch of trying to raise.
Yes. Yeah, we don't have enough time.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this is great. This is where I kind of flip this part of the podcast, and because this is, and I say it every episode, because it is called Life's a Pitch, and it is in essence around baseball, because I am a big baseball fan.
White Sox right
this
behind
is, yeah. Who is it? White Sox?
White
there
Sox.
You go. Hey, another rabbit hole we could go down, but you guys have a slugger on your team that came out of nowhere.
But my goodness, like putting a bag over my head for the last few years as a White Sox.
Yeah. Hey, I don't think you're in last place right now, though. So you got that going for you. Sorry, KC. All right. So this is Extra Innings, AKA Rapid Fire, where I'm going to give you some questions. And I will do my best not to respond back to your answers, but I cannot promise you, because I'm always intrigued by the fun stuff that people say here. So,
okay.
All right. First question. What is one lesson that you've taught others in life or work that you think more people need to hear?
I certainly say this to my kids. There's a poem I had, I think, back from when I was in college, State of Mind by, I think it's like Walter Wintle. And there's a phrase in it that I think has always stuck with me. I impress upon it on my kids, but I think I also bring that mindset to work. And it's like, life's battles don't always go to the faster or stronger man. The person who thinks he can is often the one who comes out ahead. And I think that's really important to know. And in the startup world, you may not always be the best, but those that continue to work oftentimes will outpace the other innovators around you.
Yes, that is great. And as an entrepreneur, if you don't have that mindset, then it's going to be a tough stretch, because there's a lot of ups and downs. Yeah. All right. Next question. What is something that you love talking about that annoys everybody in your life around you when you do?
It's the weather, Jared. I talk about the weather. I do.
We haven't talked about it once. We didn't even, when we just met before we hit play, it's usually like, how are you doing? Well, sunny and 80 outside, so I'm feeling pretty good.
I wanted to. It's like on the tip of my tongue, but I held back. I do. I talk about the weather. Like, my wife makes fun of me. The kids make fun of me. However, I'll say this. My kids are interested in weather, and I know I'm slowly converting them. So it's working. They're coming over to the dark side. But I do. Like, whenever I get on a sales call, I'm always asking somebody, what's the weather there in Minnesota or whatever? Like, it's horrible. It's annoying. Like, it's an old person thing to do.
But you know what? It is funny because, like, do you geek out? Because we've had a lot of tornado warnings and watches recently. Are you geeking out? Listen to like Brant Miller just go through everything.
I'm a WGN guy, so but absolutely, yes.
That's good. All right. Next time that there's a tornado warning, I'll think of you, because I'm sure there'll be one in the next few days.
Reach out to me. I could probably tell you if it's going to hit or not.
Are we good, or how we looking? The alarm's going off. Do I need to go in the basement? All right.
I'll let you know. I'm here for you.
All right. What's the last thing that genuinely scared you?
I don't scare her that easy. My son broke his collarbone in a hockey game, so being like a parent in the crowd and seeing that happen, like that certainly was probably pretty scary. Something I don't want to go through again. But otherwise, like, I don't scare that easy.
Yeah, it's usually the things with our kids that are things that terrify us the most.
Yep.
What's the one tool that you use with work or in life in general, software, whatever it is, that you cannot live without?
Back in the olden days, like, it was always like a handy notebook where I took notes during every meeting, every call. I did get away from that over time, and I do use Evernote for everything.
I got this now. This guy.
That's awesome.
These are great. Remarkable.
They are. And so, like, certainly Evernote. I will say, like, ChatGPT, Claude has starting to invade my space, and it helps fix my grammar problems all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
Little sidetrack on ChatGPT, Claude. I was all in. ChatGPT was it. And then the doors opened up to Claude over the last month and a half, and I mean, we as a company too are transferring all of our back end over to Claude as well right now. Like, it's night and day, and the amount of things that I've been just building in Claude code, like Vibe code, are insane. That are cutting so much time down in my sales process, my sales activities, and everything. So it's pretty crazy. What are you building right now? Anything fun?
I mean, My sales team alone, and our marketing team, the stuff that they're doing with Claude Code, and like our UX team, it's changing. Like it has been changing the game, but
Yeah.
I would say from the marketing perspective, what we're doing with creating content and also analyzing data with people that are not very technical, and now they're able to use like Claude Code. Like it's amazing to see what we're developing and how quickly that's happening.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. What is the truth about business or being an entrepreneur that you did not believe until you actually lived it?
I don't know. Like I talk about with Dan, my partner, all the time. Like certainly the law of physics applies. Like for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Whenever anything is going well, absolutely around the corner, something of equal value is going to go wrong. And flip side, like it goes the other way too. It's not always negative. It proves itself over and over and over again. So like you learn from that. Like don't get too high, don't get too low. Something's always around the corner. It's gonna bring you up or down.
Yeah, and I think that I've said this before, and my background's in sales, right? And I think that really prepped me to be an entrepreneur, where I know people that like just break, that have been an entrepreneur because they didn't have the background of that roller coaster ride of like, hey, I'm having the worst month ever. And the last day of the month, you get whatever close, and you're just like back on top, but you know that it resets again. So I think that mindset has prepped for this, because you're spot on. You're spot on. It's something great can happen, and you're just like, hey, celebrate it. Make sure you celebrate it. It's so important to celebrate it, but don't celebrate it too long.
Absolutely. Be a goldfish, right?
Yes, be a goldfish. Be a goldfish. All right. You're going to a dinner party. You can invite 3 people to the dinner party. Booze, no booze, whatever is your poison. Living or dead, who's sitting at the table with you?
I'm certainly kind of a history buff. I think it'd be cool to talk to like Abraham Lincoln. Kind of nerdy, but I do read lots of war books. I certainly wouldn't be hosting the dinner party, so it'd be my wife. She would love to have, I'm sure, like Michelle Obama there, which would be very cool. I'm also a tennis nut. I would love to meet like Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal and have them hanging out talking tennis with them.
Wouldn't it be funny if you got those two at a table together? Because everything you see, they're best friends. They love each other.
Yes.
And you realize they actually hate each other. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Right.
I don't think that'd be, it may be the case if like Djokovic showed up. But
yes. Yeah. I agree. All right. Last question. First concert, last concert.
First concert ever was Depeche Mode. Still big Depeche Mode fan, trying to push my kids into it. Even though they probably won't be touring much longer. And then last concert, I'm actually wearing this shirt, Camp. So I saw Camp at the Salt Shed, which was awesome.
What you know what? The Salt Shed has come up, I swear, on the last 3 podcasts that we've had, and I have never been there. And everybody says got to go. So I'm looking at the lineup. There's a few shows that I'll probably, at least one that I'll definitely go check out. What type of music is Camp?
Camp is kind of like folky rock. A little bit like a country sound to them. They're cool.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, you live up in Highland Park. What Ravinia shows are you going to see this year?
I'm not a big Ravinia person.
No?
No, I'm not. Like, I'm just not a big fan of going there. I don't know why.
All right.
My wife makes fun of me for doing that.
Some people, I think most people view it as like social time because you can't really see the stage unless you're there. But anyway. All right. Well, that's it. How can people actually, before I get to how can people find you, anything you want to plug, anything you want to say before about Win, any new releases or anything you have coming out?
We do. Like, we're making pretty significant improvements, enhancements to our platform throughout the user experience, and we're launching like a full-blown ICRA product with one of our huge partners. So that's really exciting. Coming soon around that. And then as far as like ways to get us is www.forwen.com.
Awesome. And your email, if anybody wants to reach out to you directly, or should they go through the site?
No, they can go to me directly, Andy@forwen.com.
Awesome. Well, Andy, thank you for coming on. This has been great. Really good conversation. And that is a wrap, though, for Life's a Pitch. Again, big thanks to Andy for coming on. If you liked it, share it, tell a friend, subscribe and follow. I need to get that subscriber and follower list up so we can have more amazing guests like Andy on. And remember, behind every strategy, title, or success story, there's chaos, self-doubt, and a whole lot of trial and error. See you next time.